Today, my guest has a huge insurance business.
We brought on over 2,500 agents last year. Last year, we issued over 17,000 policies. That's 17,000 protected families. I mean, just last week, I got out over 8,000 leads. I'm doing my day-to-day. It's really helping people build businesses.
They try to outsmart the person that's actually doing stuff. And I always say, like, the dumb work is the one that wins.
You don't know how to sell. Leads are your education, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Leads will make you a better seller through gaining the experience. The thing I like about our system is you could literally duplicate what I've done, right? So you're not like stuck in a place. Like you could actually out-earn me. You just have to outwork me. Someone that's committed, typically their income's going up 50 to 100% every single year.
Because of me just being authentic and transparent and treating people how I want to be treated. You know, I've had to learn, honestly, David, over the years to treat people more of how they want to be treated versus how I want to be treated.
Your reputation is worth more than any dollar amount. Never, ever, ever lie, no matter what.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Ryan Stewman, and welcome to the How to Make Money from Everything podcast, where I bring entrepreneurs on who are doing big things, and we extract their business strategies and business plans to show you how you can literally make money from everything. Today, my guest has a huge insurance business with 2,500 agents. Is that correct?
We brought on over 2,500 agents last year.
2,500 agents last year. Imagine recruiting 2,500 people. That's what, 300 will go into 25, roughly 8. That's about 80 people a day that you guys are onboarding over there. Does that sound about correct? A week?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. So, man, that's a lot of people, David. You know, it's a lot of people to manage. But I'm sure it feels good to be a leader of that many people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, a lot of personalities. You learn a lot about people really, really fast.
So how'd you get into well, first of all, you sell life insurance, correct?
Yeah, I specialize in final expense. Just a small whole life policies, 30,000, just fast issuing policies. We do a lot of volume.
Gotcha, a lot of volume. Gotcha. So how'd you get into that business?
I was at a point in my life, I was in my 30s, and I was at the point I was like, you know, I'm not really on a path. I was happy and content, but I wasn't on a path to be what I wanted to be when I was a child. Like, you know, I wasn't going to be driving Lambos and living in a mansion and having the freedom that I wanted. And I was looking for just different business opportunities. To me, the most important thing was the demand, right? A lot of times people get so stuck on like, oh, I want to sell this product. Like, all right, you know, I want to be a real estate agent. And I say, well, if you had a real estate license right now, who would you sell a house to? And they look at me like I'm stupid. I'm like, no, like who would you sell a house to? Like, why do you want to be a real estate agent? Who's going to mentor you? And they don't have those answers. So I was looking for something that had a strong demand. So I found a company that had more leads than they could handle, basically. So I'm like, cool, I like selling, I like talking, I like working. So let me get involved with that and built a sales team around it.
And how long ago was that?
2018.
So in roughly 6 years, you've been able to onboard thousands of people.
Yeah, thousands of people. Last year, we issued over 17,000 policies. That's 17,000 protected families.
Wow, man. You know, that makes sense, though. You're like everybody alive needs a life insurance policy.
Yeah, we could cover anyone from 0 to 85. So hospice, cancer, incarceration, HIV, no social security number. So literally, if you're breathing and under 85, I get you an insurance policy.
You got a seat for every ass, basically,
Exactly.
right? And so that allows you to do massive volume because basically everybody's your prospect.
Everyone's a prospect, and then we got TV commercials we're running, Facebook ads, you know, a lot of paid advertising. So just last week I got out over 8,000 leads.
Wow, 8,000 leads a week. So how do you go about building an organization that size? Like, what are some of your recruiting strategies? Because obviously you're not out there on the front line selling insurance, I'm guessing, at this point, right?
It's been about 5 years since I wrote a policy.
Okay, so your job's to really be the leader for the team, the structural, the management, that kind of stuff, correct?
Yeah, so if someone really asks me what am I doing in my day-to-day, it's really helping people build businesses.
Right.
That's it. Like, let me help you build.
Coach and mentor.
That's it, coach and mentor.
For your employees.
Yeah. So they're business owners. They're all
Right,
business
right.
owners too, right? So it's, you know, you take somebody, you teach them how to sell insurance first, and then if it's all they want to do and they really love that, that's fine. And if they're like, hey, I want to be like you and have freedom and travel the world and get paid every single day, then you start teaching them how to, one, train people first, and then attract more people and build a business.
Okay, so where do you find your people from? And you don't have to give all your trade secrets, but I really want to dig into somebody that's in the life insurance business, may want to switch over to you, or somebody might be out there thinking about getting into it. So, how do you go about finding people and recruiting them into your organization? Is it something where, I know it's not multi-level marketing, but is it something where really the others are now recruiting the people into them and you're just in the cultivation period, or are you still out there actively recruiting people? And if you're not doing that currently, what were the steps that you were taking to get people into your organization?
Yeah, just like everything else, there's like steps that change as you grow. So realistically, the beginning was a lot of organic stuff through Facebook, right? Some stuff real similar to the stuff that you teach on Facebook, that I did, build a Facebook audience, show people what you're doing, document what you're doing and stuff like that. So that's how, and that's good, and you get really good quality people because there's that trust there because they've been following you and stuff like that, which I don't have to tell you about that. You understand that real well, and that's what you also teach. But then that's going to give you a certain amount of volume, right? So then the next step from there was just like anything else. If you were Walmart, you want to hire people, how do you hire people? ZipRecruiter ads, Indeed ads, right? Job postings, right? It's people looking for jobs. So I started spending a lot of money on ZipRecruiter and stuff like that. And then there's the paid ads, right? YouTube ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, where you could also run paid ads. Last year we spent over $250,000 alone just on Facebook ads, for recruiting. At one point I was spending $10,000-$15,000 a month on ZipRecruiter. But people listen to them like, I can't spend that much money.
Right.
But my first investment in my business for recruiting was $40 a week, and I was like, man, this isn't working. I'm not seeing the results. I should stop doing this. And then I came to the realization that if I wasn't willing to spend $40 a week, can my mentor really take me serious? Right. So I still invested in that, even though I wasn't seeing the results. And then $40 a week turned into, like I said, $15,000 a month, and just ZipRecruiter.
Doesn't it seem like, a lot of times, and you probably get this, people show up in your organization and they're like, David, I'm gonna be your top guy. And then they're not willing to put $100 a month or a week or whatever into their personal development, into their ads, and they wonder why they never get to become the guy that they want to become.
It's majority of people, and the funny thing is, I've had these conversations plenty of times, and a lot of people have a college education. There's nothing wrong with a college education. I have some college. I didn't finish. I don't have a degree, but I'll talk to people, and I can't get them to follow our system for a week. Or be coachable for a month consistently. And then I'll say,
a short period of time.
Yeah, it's like, don't you have a college degree? And they say, yeah. It's like, so you went to school for 4 years? So like 5. Okay. And you paid how much money? I was like, and did you know what was going to happen, what the result was after that? Are you using those degrees for anything? And the answer is always no. I was like, but you can't listen to me for 30 days and make money at the same time. Like, I don't understand that.
Maybe not just college people, but a lot of people try to truly reinvent the wheel. Like, I'm sure you get this in your business. A lot of people will hire somebody new and they'll come in and they're like, you should be doing this, and that. It's like, brother, I tried that in 2013. Like I'm 20 years experience into this thing now. You're talking about something that we knew that was a failing venture 11 years ago, right? And they try to outsmart the person that's actually doing stuff. And I always say, like, the dumb work is the one that wins, right? The smart guy that tries to figure out a way to reinvent the wheel versus the dumb guy that just puts a new wheel on his car. One of them's going to get a car down the road. The other one's going to spend a lot of time in his basement trying to figure some shit out that's already been figured out.
Yeah, that's a common theme. I have a guy like that too, and like I don't know, he didn't sell anything really. He was selling a little bit here and there. Again, not being consistent. And then all of a sudden he started pitching my guys on some AI machine that he bought that was going to start selling for you. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, first off, you have no proven track record.
Right.
Why is anyone going to buy this from you? Second off, why don't you do what all my top income earners are doing?
And pick up the fucking phone.
Pick up the phone and call them. I was like, you can't sell on text messages. You can't sell with emails. You have to talk to people. Pick up the phone and call them. But yeah, like, you can't shortcut experience. That's what it comes down to. Like you said, we have the experience. We made the mistakes. We learned, and like, hey, this is the best way. And like, take our shortcuts. You know what I mean? Why are you going to go through everything I went through when I'm just going to give you the easier way that actually works?
I get it. One time I was on Brad Lee's podcast, and he says, if I gave you, would you rather me give you $100 million or work for $10 million? And I said, well, I'd rather work and earn the 10 million. And he goes, well, you're a fucking idiot because you just blew 90 million bucks. And I'm sitting here thinking that's kind of a metaphor for like mentorship, right? I'm sitting here trying to give you 100 million and you'd rather work the hard way to earn 10 by being, you know, a hammerhead and figuring it out on your own when I've already got the system lined out for you. You know, I think that, you know, there's something to be said also, I get it. There's something to be said about earning 10 million versus being given 100, but you can make 10 million in mistakes and still have 90 left in that scenario. You know, it'd be in the same thing. I think somebody like you that's, you know, got this mass, or someone like me that's got this massive amount of experience, it's like you don't have to do just $10 million worth of work. I'm giving you $100 million worth of game here, right? And here's how it goes. So you mentioned Facebook ads. So you run ads to recruit people into your organization, or are you running ads for people to actually secure life insurance policies?
So for recruiting people, so we have TV commercials, the carrier that we work with, so they create the leads. So again, that was what's real attractive. You know, just like you have salespeople, and it's like you have tons of leads for them, right? So if you're a salesperson, leads are the most important thing. If you don't know how to sell, leads are your education, right? You know what I mean? Leads will make you a better seller through gaining the experience, right?
I like that. Leads are your education.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
how I say. You know, people spend $40,000 a year on college, right? Spend $40,000 a year on leads for 4 years, and I bet you that would be worth more than any college
Absolutely,
degree.
absolutely.
But yeah, so the carrier covers all the leads for the selling, right? For selling their products. So we just fulfilling that and building the sales distribution.
So you've got a pretty simple pitch. It sounds like, hey, need leads, want a promising career. We've got both, right? I mean, that's the gist of it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, want to make $100,000 a year from your house.
And then you take these folks and you mentor them, you lead them, you do Zoom trainings, things of that nature, I'm guessing, or how does that work out?
Yeah, we have a virtual call center. So I got agents making multi-six figures. They're on there selling every single day. So you get to listen to real time. They'll train you, they'll mentor you. I'll train you, mentor you. I have different masterminds basically, do different training calls weekly. So you get 7 trainings from me a week. And then once you hit certain levels, you'll get a smaller group where I'll help you start building a business. And really, you know, the thing I like about our system is you could literally duplicate what I've done, right? So you're not like stuck in a place. Like you could actually out-earn me. You just have to outwork me.
Yeah, you know, duplication is key in a big organization like that, and that's where the mentorship comes in. Like, here's what I've done, here's it simplified, here's it for you. A lot of people, they get into business and they don't document their stuff. They don't have any way to transfer their skill set onto the next person, therefore causing them to be a crash dummy, a lot of turnover. How long does the average person stay on your team?
It depends. I've never really lost anyone that committed. Right. If somebody commits, they'll come. They'll start making money.
That come and go.
Yeah, they come and go. But someone that's committed, typically their income's going up 50 to 100% every single year.
Wow.
With less effort, right? So like that's our system.
Renewals.
Well, renewals too, and your skill gets better. You get people start calling you back. You get better at asking for referrals, and then as your production raises, your commission raises, right? So it just and then starting the leveraging, building a team, right, and starting hiring agents and mentoring agents, and then you get the overrides, which is passive. So yeah, typically never really lost a committed person.
So that's interesting, man, and. For the people that listen that own a business or that are in a leadership role in a business, what are some things that you would tell them about creating a culture and keeping people long term?
Always be honest. Never, ever lie. No matter what. Like, people aren't dumb, right? Like, you might be able to lie to them. Like, right now, you might believe what I say. Right. Later on, you think, well, that didn't really sound right, and like you start thinking about that and stuff. And so my thing is like David Price. You'll never hear David Price lie to me, Your reputation is worth more than any dollar amount.
I agree.
Right? If me and you had something you were saying, and you're like, Dave, you said if this happened, you're gonna give me $2,000, and I don't remember it. Like, here's the $2,000, right? Because you believing me and like that relationship is worth more than the money. That
reminds me, you owe me $2,000 for this podcast.
Yeah, I got you, man. No problem. If I said that, then it's yours. So I think that's really important, right? Reputation. I think a lot of times, that's a compliment I get all the time, even with competitors. Just I hear a lot of great things about you. I've never heard anything bad about you. I heard you take really good care of your people. Never hear like, oh, you screwed this person over or anything like that. So I think that's super important. Treating people like you want to be treated, right? So many times I see people, and again, people aren't dumb, right? Sometimes the leader, he's leading with fear, right? And that people are looking at him and doing what he says, but at the end of the day, they're not really respecting him. right? Because what he says and what he does are two different things. So just lead from the front and do what you say you're going to do, and treat people the way you want to be treated. It's not really hard to build a good culture, right? Be a good person, and people will follow that.
Yeah, especially with an opportunity to earn more money, the longer they stay involved. You know, it's funny, the like when Todd Price was here a week or so ago, he said a lot of the same things. You know, if you're just in all of the successful business people that I've had on this, because we have startup people that are just brand new, and then we have guys like you and Todd that are established and that have come on this podcast. And the guys that are established, that have built organizations, you have 2,500. He has about 400 employees, he said. It's the same thing as, like, you know, be authentic, be transparent, share what's working, just be real with your people, treat them correctly. So many people, there's such an easy thing to say, but a very difficult thing to follow. You know, it really is. It's hard not to lie. If we're being honest, it's hard not to lie. The lie is always the path of least resistance until it's not, and it backfires on you, right? But in the beginning, the path to the least resistance is to tell somebody what they want to hear, maybe not what they need to hear, or maybe not the truth, right? But it's funny to me that, like, all of us, they say, you know, same thing. We built a great culture here because of me just being authentic and transparent and treating people how I want to be treated. You know, I've had to learn, honestly, David, over the years, to treat people more of how they want to be treated versus how I want to be treated, because I'm kind of a sadistic bastard. I like being punished and tormented. That's what motivates me, but that's not what motivates most people. You know what I mean? So I've had to kind of learn that aspect of it, of, you know, I might like to be yelled at and told that I'm a piece of shit, because that gets me more fired up to go prove people wrong. But that may not be necessarily what Taylor, the guy that played in the NFL and went to college, that may not be a motivating factor for him. He might like to be encouraged and told that he's doing a good job, and that I believe in him and he can do more, as opposed to, you know, maybe how I would want to be treated. So I think that's crucial, man. So what's your life like? You know, like you're because of all this, you built a great business, life insurance, self-explanatory. We don't really have to explain to people what that is. How has this affected your life? Like, where were you in 2016, 2017 financially, kind of house you're living in, what kind of car you were driving versus the lifestyle that you live now? What's really changed?
Yeah, so I battled with a drug addiction for about 20 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, been to jail as well. Someone came up to me like, yeah, the Ryan Stewman story. I was like, oh, he went to prison for a while. I spent like 60 days, 90 days in jail.
Kind of drugs you like?
Heroin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
no shit.
So lucky to be here still.
Yeah,
actually.
no shit.
Right.
Especially today's day and age. It's a good thing you got out of that shit when you did.
Yeah, good thing.
You know, because the fentanyl stuff that's going on now is like, you see these people in these YouTube videos where they're just bent over, sleeping in the middle of the street, and they're still standing up. That's like the craziest looking thing to me. These people, literally, their pants will be below their ass, and they're just like bent over on the street. Like, I'm like, what the fuck kind of weird shit is that, man? I can't imagine. First of all, that has to be a hell of a sales pitch. If you think about it, it's like, listen, bro, I'm gonna get you so high you're gonna fall asleep standing up, bent over, right? Like, what the fuck? But you really are fortunate. I didn't know that about you, so that's really fortunate that you were able to get out of that when you did, man. Because I lost my best friend when I was 6 days after I turned 18. I went over. We were three best friends, man, and his name was Shad, and I had another friend named Grant. I turned 18. We had all got in trouble for stealing a car and going to New Mexico. And it wasn't like we really like stole a car from somebody at gunpoint. We like borrowed a friend of ours' mom's car while she was on vacation and didn't make it back in time for her not to know we took the car. And then the guy was like, oh, I never told him they could take the car. And so the mom pressed charges on us. So we all three got probation. It was still wrong, but it wasn't as bad as maybe the courts made it sound, you know, and we were on minor probation. So when we turned 18, it went off our record. We were off for probation, and I turned 18 on October 1st. My other friend Grant turned 18 on October 7th. We went over to Shad's house because he was already 18, so the three of us could start hanging out again. And when we went into his house, man, he was just dead on the couch, and we hadn't been able to communicate for 6 months. This is before flip phones. This is before the internet. You know, it was a long, long time ago in the 90s, 95, 96. And he was dead on the couch. We had no idea that he was even dabbling in that shit, you know. And I don't know that was his first time to do it or his 100th time to do it, you know. It's like we lost, you know, I lost a friend of that. So, yeah, you really are fortunate to be here, man.
Yeah, I lost a lot of good friends. So I got clean in 2013. So, I mean, it's crazy because like 10 years ago, right, didn't have a car, was sleeping on people's couches, when I was clean. And then just every day, just grinding, just working, just grinding, just working.
What were you doing back then?
Well, I moved to Louisiana, right? I was from New Jersey. I moved to Louisiana to work on getting clean. And then
Culture shock.
yes, completely different world. But my mindset was, because there's a few times I quit throughout the time. I typically would have a job. I would get fired for being high all the time. I was always a good worker, right? I didn't like steal from people and stuff like that. So people kept me around, and I worked in the oil industry. But I eventually Dave, you just been fucked up too much, man. You got to go, right? And like, yeah, you're right. Bye. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
like understand, like I fucked up. So I'm glad I could curse on this podcast.
Yeah. We're just being real here.
So then I would, so I would lose my job, but then I would get up, so I'm like, all right, I got to quit. I would quit, detox myself, go through all that, start going to the gym, eating right, like work on all the outside things, then get a job with a competitor, making more money, right? And then eventually get fired from them, and then get a job with a competitor with a better position, making more money, right? And that was the process I went through. So finally I was like, finally lost everything, hit like a rock bottom where I never hit before. And, this was after like 20 years of on and off stuff. And I was like, man, I just need to change everything, right? So I moved to Louisiana, got to Louisiana, stayed on my grandma's couch, right, with my father, who I didn't really talk too much, you know what I mean? But I was just like desperate, basically.
And you need to get away from those people.
Right, I had to change. Like I just didn't know the answer, right? And I ended up walking to a 12-step meeting as a supporter because the girl I was dating was like now stealing from my family, right? And this is the first time I was ever in that situation where like I got people stealing from family. I'm dating a girl using now. So I went in my head as a supporter to a 12-step program, and we took a taxi. I had nothing, right? Took a taxi. I had like 2 bags of clothes. That's all I owned at the time. This was 2012-ish, right? No, 2013. It was when I walked in that meeting, July of 2013, actually. So walked to this meeting. I'm sitting in this meeting thinking I'm going to help this girl, and also I just start crying. I have no idea why I cry. I'm not a big crier, but I just started crying. Never used again drugs again after that, or drank nothing after that. Went to meetings. They said, hey, you should do 90 meetings in 9 days. I told the girl, hey, it sounds like a good idea. I think that's what you should do. I did it to prove a point. She didn't do it. She went to jail a bunch of times after that. I stayed clean. But I didn't even work for a year. And it's the first time like not working in my life.
But you were working on you.
Exactly, right? And that's why I didn't want to do the same thing I did in the past, like just fix the outside things, but not the inside things. So I was like, let me figure out what the heck's going on, why I can't stay clean. So like you said, I was working on me. Finally, I needed a job, and I managed people and stuff like that. I haven't worked for minimum wage since I was a teenager. So I was like, I can get you a job working offshore, and I wanted to work offshore because I heard you make a lot of money out there. I don't mind, like, hey, put me to work 2 weeks. I can go offshore for 2 weeks and work, make a bunch of money, and come back and be off 2 weeks. That sounds great to me. But it was minimum wage. It was like $7.25 an hour, cleaning toilets, washing dishes, mopping floors. Like my job before that was $70,000 a year, salary, expense account, managing like 40 people, right? 401k and all that. Okay, yeah, I'll do it. Because I didn't care where I started. I knew once I got out there, I would meet some people and get a better job.
Right.
I just had to start. And sure enough, that's what happened. But it's crazy, right? I'm washing dishes, and the person who's in charge of me, the cook or whatever, is like, you're using too much soap. I'm like, okay. It just like, and I listened to like NA speaker tapes. It was like my motivational speaker of people recovering and how they got clean. Again, still no car and stuff like that. I'm like a year clean now. But I didn't care. Like I was just using the network. People were helping me around, sleeping on people's couches and stuff like that. And just, step by step, just kept, doing better, better job. And then so that was 2013, and then 2018. So just 5 years later, got my insurance license. I was dating a girl. I was like, hey, we're gonna move to Florida. We're gonna start a business. It's gonna be great. Gonna make a ton of money. Moved to a 2-bedroom apartment. Sat her down when we got there, right? Took her away from her family and everything. I was like, listen, I'm just gonna work like for a year. Like I'm not gonna be available for the beach, for a lot of things. I'm not gonna be available. I'm going to grind this year. It's gonna be worth it. Just trust me. And that's what I did. Like 80 hours a week. The money wasn't making sense. New business, and I'm like, dude, what the heck? The year before that, I worked in Puerto Rico. I made $250,000 in 6 months, wearing cargo shorts, flip flops with no expenses, living on an island, right? So now I've got pants on. I'm going door to door. I don't like wearing jeans. I don't like wearing shoes, or like khaki pants. And that's it. Just kept grinding. first 6 months in the business, I made 20 grand on my 1099, right? Like, dude, this isn't making sense. I'm like doing a calculator. I'm like, how is my commissions adding up to this? Next full year over 200,000. Next full year over 500,000. Next full year over 7. And then my fourth full year, $1.1 million. And then last year was my fifth, $1.5 million. But it's crazy because 6 months in, Hurricane Michael hit the Panhandle, and I was doing disaster work before that. All my contractors calling me up. I mean, there's millions to be made there. Like, hey, we going? I'm like, I don't know.
You almost left.
I did. I almost quit, and I was like, you know what? It's 6 months in. If I quit now, I can't say I even tried. And
Right.
lucky, what happened is if that was my 22-year-old and a 25-year-old self, I wouldn't be able to make that decision. I think one of the reasons I was coachable and able to learn was because I lost everything and all the things I learned in that 12-step program of like stop using my mind and start losing the mentor, right? And it was the mentors in a 12-step program that knew how to stay clean, right? So then that's what I had to start thinking about on my business, right? So like I remember first listening to my first Tony Robbins tape when I first got clean, and that was like, oh, this stuff makes so much sense. He starts talking about modeling, and then that's when I became a self-help junkie and just went all in on myself.
So you're doing $1.5 million now. Had you quit 6 months in and went and did the other thing, would you have ever made $1.5 million then?
Not with the life I have. I mean, my money's all passive. I could spend the month in Costa Rica. My income doesn't change. My business is mostly all automated. And I think that's what makes me unique in this space is that's what I teach you how to do. Because anyone making the kind of money I'm making, they're like, it's way more complicated than my life.
Right. So you're teaching people, here's how you can grind for a couple years and then kind of not coast, but optimize for longevity for a long period in the future.
Exactly.
So your life today, obviously you make 7 figures a year. That's great. When you live in Puerto Rico,
Yes.
and so you're back to cargo shorts and flip-flops, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I barely put shoes on.
So what drew you to Puerto Rico?
It's an island. I was working from home for a while and stuff. One of my friends who's a competitor, he's been doing it a lot longer than me. I went and visited him, and I got to the point where I was also like kind of felt like I made it, right? Like everyone around me, like I was the big fish, and I was like, I got to change this up, get myself uncomfortable. Every once in a while, when you have that feeling that you made it, you got to, sign up for Apex, and do these different things to be around these people to show you like, no, Dave, you didn't make it. There's levels to this.
There's levels to it.
There's levels to this. So that's what happened. I moved to Puerto Rico, shook my world up, changed everything. Went from the suburbs to living in a high rise on the beach in the city. Changed my friends, changed the people I'm hanging out with. Joined Apex executives, like just changed everything about what I was doing to make sure that I'm not content, right? To make sure I continue to work on myself and one, it helps me, but then it helps me help mentor my people.
Are you in like the Dorado area there? Or?
I'm in Condado, but my friend's in Dorado. So yeah, that's what got me. Yeah, he brought me there to like that country club area by the Ritz and everything. I was like, dude,
everybody there's got fuck you money. It seems like.
I was like, I'm in the wrong town.
Yeah.
So I switched that up.
Isn't that amazing? Whether it's a business or an island or whatever, when you just get around people, like you said, you think that I'm making $500,000 a year. I'm the big dog in my friend circle. Then you go to somewhere like Dorado, Puerto Rico, and you're like, holy shit, I'm poor.
Yeah.
I could be homeless in this neighborhood. You know what I mean? I can't afford the front yard in this neighborhood that these people live in here. And, that makes you, I know it does me, I know it does guys like you, but, some people get jealous by that, but smart person gets inspired and goes, dude, there's so much more I'm capable of, because you look at the people in that neighborhood and you're like, it's not filled with astronauts, doctors, and rocket scientists. Right. It's filled with salespeople and entrepreneurs. And it's not filled with people with 10-year college degrees. It's filled with people that dropped out of high school or didn't finish college and started a business. And, or over there's a lot of guys that learn crypto, or there's a lot of guys that have social media people. I know that Jake Paul and Logan Paul live over there, and they've built their existence from social media. I mean, it's really... when you get around the right people at the right time, at the right place, if you're the right person, it'll change you into the right mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, I was talking to your wife, Amy, about Baker Bay. One of my friends has a place over at Baker Bay, Bahamas. So if I cost you a few $1 million, I apologize.
Yeah. She's going to have a hard time outspending me with ranch land, though, She's like, Baker Bay, we talking about Oklahoma right now. So, So your life now, you live on the island, you work from home, kind of make your own schedule, you run a couple Zoom calls a day, something of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I mean, if I really wanted to retire, not work another day of my life, but to me, it's crazy because your set changes, right, as you grow. Like I think you were talking about that in one of your posts recently. It's like, always dreamed of having a Lambo, but then when you could finally afford a Lambo, it's not really that big of a deal anymore. Right, like the watch. I always wanted a Rolex, and now that I have one, it's like I barely ever even care about wearing it.
And it's never tells the correct time.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Zach's like, we're 5 minutes late, and I was like, dude, I got 15 minutes till on my watch. He's like, you're wearing a Rolex, aren't you? Like, fuck, like. You think you want
because we're not wearing it. That's why.
Well, dude, I even have mine in a wine box. It just is what it is. But yes, it's because I'm not wearing it. But that's the thing is like you find out once you have options, you realize that like a smart person realizes I don't have to take every option that I got. I'm at a place where I can be confident. I think people that lack options try to take every option to look like they've got options. I see guys that make $150,000 a year back in the day wearing a Rolex. I was making $2 or $3 million a year and I'm wearing a Fitbit, and I was like, our priorities are different. Like you're trying to prove to people you've got money. I'm trying to kind of conceal what I'm working with over here, and the other great thing about Puerto Rico is you don't pay taxes really. What is like a 3% income tax or something like that?
Yeah, they have some tax incentives if you have a business in Puerto Rico and you're exporting services to the U.S. I think it's like 4% corporate income tax.
Dude, I need to move there for about 10 years. Problem is, as soon as I move to Puerto Rico, David, every event I have is going to be in California, right? Because it's like as soon as I move to one side, that's why I never leave Dallas. I feel like as soon as I move to one side or the other of the country to be near the ocean, everybody would be calling me. It's like, oh, you moved to Florida? Dude, we need you in California. And I'd be like spending all this time on a jet. At least in Dallas, anywhere I pretty much go, I can get home the same evening, 2-hour flight or whatever. So. But I love Puerto Rico, man, and I love not paying taxes, and I love being around rich people, man. So it's been very appealing. Two of my best friends live there, Jay Kender and Mike Reese, and they come back and forth. They've got places here in Frisco too, and they've been there long enough now to where they're starting to come back and forth and establish second homes here. But I mean, these guys went there and just stacked up massive amounts of paper and went through all the tax stuff like what you're talking about, stacked up massive amounts of money and savings and everything else. And then we're like, here in 10 years, we'll probably move back to the U.S. and we'll be loaded because we save 40% a year in tax income on multiple $1 million a year income. And I'm over here trying to figure out how to avoid them any way that I can, but like that seems like the most efficient place to get to for the time being to really grow wealth quickly if you're making good money.
Yeah, like you said, there's a ton of people there making I mean just crazy money. I mean, you got the
keeping it.
Yeah, and keeping it.
Like if you make $1 million, if you make $1 million here, you really make about $600,000. If you make $1 million there, you're making like $950,000. So it's like almost like
double.
If you went there and you made 600, you would be the equivalent of someone making $1 million here. Yeah, almost double, dude. It's crazy. So if someone's thinking about getting into the life insurance industry, somebody's like, hey, I know everybody needs insurance. It's something I've been thinking of. My family was in it. I got a rich uncle that did it, or whatever the case. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, do your research. To me, don't get caught on the product. Too many people they get so caught on the product. Like I want to sell this product. It's like the ego, and just like anything else, we think we know about it before we start. Then we finally gain the experience and we find out we're dead wrong.
Yeah,
and I think that's like 100% of the time.
Yep.
But to me, like find a good lead source. Like that's the most important thing. When I was looking for a business opportunity, if someone came up to me and was like, hey, dude, I got these amazing volleyballs. I don't know what's going on, but we got all these people that want to buy them, and we just need a sales team to get them, and you can make $1 million a year working from home doing it. I'll be selling volleyballs, right? So
Makes sense.
As long as the product's ethical and a good product, then don't get stuck on that. So figure out, who's going to mentor you, that's got the time to mentor you, that's got their systems, processes, and proven track record, right? That has mentored other people that are making the income you want to make, and then leads, like. Figure out what their lead system is. Because if you're the lead system, right, some insurance opportunities like, hey, yeah, come work with me. All right, cool, you're working with me. Now, listen, this is what I need. I need you to make a list of all your friends and family.
Right.
And I'm going to call them all, and I'm going to sell them all insurance.
Right.
And then you're going to find something, you know what I mean? And not saying that's a bad system, but to me, that's way harder way harder system
Yeah.
to be successful with.
Yeah, absolutely. So if somebody wants to maybe have a conversation with you or someone on your team, how do they find you?
Yeah, I got a website, tpglife.com. So if you went there, you can fill out the form and book a call with my team. And you can follow me on Instagram, David Price Official. If you Google David Price Insurance, because I'm SEOing with a famous pitcher, so I hope this guy retires soon so I can start beating him.
Yes.
So you got to put David Price Insurance. But if you Google me, you should be able to find a bunch of different content on me to do your research.
Is it difficult to get a life insurance license?
That's the craziest thing. It's like most states is a 20-hour course. I do have a discount code. I could get it to you for $40. And then
No shit.
Yeah, and then the other stuff you need through the state, taking the state test, fingerprinting some states, and then applying for a license. We're talking about like $300. So think about that. I've made millions of dollars
From a $300
investment.
It's a pretty easy test.
I mean, if you go through the course, you'll pass the test.
Gotcha.
And I've known people that pass the test the first time, and I also know people that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that just took eight times to pass the test.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, just make it a priority, and you'll do it.
Gotcha. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. Again, say your Instagram one more time.
David Price Official.
So you guys follow David on Instagram. He's always dropping good motivational stuff, good educational stuff. I love stories like yours where it's like, dude, I was at rock bottom and my life was falling apart. I decided to make a change one day. You said I went into one meeting and that one meeting changed my entire life. And now you get to be that one meeting that people run into, not necessarily about drugs. And I'm sure that happens sometimes because of your story. We attract people that are like us in the past, but people meet you or they come and see one of your videos and then now they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year because you get to provide that NA setting without the drug part of it, but that NA setting for people. I love those kind of stories, man. And I don't know, maybe it exists somewhere else, but I don't know another country in the world where people like you and I can make a decision and go out there and change. If you're a heroin addict in maybe Turkey or Uzbekistan or something like that, man, and you decide to change your life, you're still going to turn around and be poor most likely because there's no entrepreneurship of American dream and there's not the land of opportunity and stuff like it is here. So I love these stories like that, man. Congratulations on your success. You should be, if you're not already, you should be very proud of your accomplishments, not because of the money that you make today, but because of the difference you made in your life. And I think the money is just a magnification and a symptom of that decision that you made 10 years ago or whenever it was. So
that's what I say. It's just a byproduct of good decisions, good habits, and being consistent.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Good times. Hey, make sure you share the show. Hit the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. Follow David, man. I love this guy. He's got great content. It's fun to follow on Facebook, Instagram. And, man, if you know somebody who needs to hear a story like this, man, send this to them. Let it inspire them. Let it change their mind. And we'll catch you on the next episode.